Before we begin, we'd like to remind you that Forex trading involves significant risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Please pause the screen and read the full disclosure. Thank you.
Commodities markets. Here again, dollar strength. Whenever we see the dollar strength that we've seen recently, excuse me, we'll tend to see commodities cool off. The same when we have kind of the fundamental uncertainty that we see with all the news that's coming and going. You know, big economies. I mean, the Eurozone is 330 million people. The U.S., 320 million people. China, billion and a half. When you see those kind of economies cooling, commodities are going to take a hit. My thesis here is that commodities have sold off substantially already. They are probably likely to find a bottom sooner than the equities will. When the commodities markets do bounce, and they will at some point, I mean, it could be this week, it could be the end of the year, who knows. When they bounce, you're going to see currencies like the Aussie and the Canadian benefit from that. So keep an eye on those. And I think I've probably said more than I need to say on commodities. Central banks. Today was a key example of the central bank and an opportunity to have center stage. If you don't watch the press conference with Trichet and the ECB, you owe it to yourself to do so. I provided the link in the weekly update and also in the daily update. Once a month, or whenever they have an interest rate announcement, which is a little less than once a month, they have their press conference. And excuse me for a sec. If you're a Euro USD trader or really just kind of care about what one of the biggest economies in the world is doing, which you probably ought to pay attention to as a trader of any sort, you really owe it to yourself to watch that press conference live and watch what the price action does in the FX markets in particular, and even in the broader markets, commodities, European stock market, etc. Whenever somebody like Trichet speaks or Bernanke, you can see 50-pip moves on a currency pair in very short order, sometimes in both directions. Volatility is not quite what an NFP release will do, but it'll tend to be more sustained too, because the press conference lasts 45 minutes, including all the Q&A. But here again, I mean, obviously nobody expected the rates to change at all today. So when the rate announcement came out and it was, that they were holding still, nobody was surprised. Market didn't move at all. But if you look, shorter term charts, 45 minutes after that announcement is when the press conference started, and you'll see the volatility that came in while he was talking. If you care at all about fundamentals, something you definitely owe it to yourself to listen to one, if not listen to it every month. It's 45 minutes of your day. You can learn a lot. You can also get a lot from how the reporters ask their questions, and give you additional jumping off points of things to research. So I watch fundamentals. I watch them mainly so that I don't get myself caught into any kind of crazy spot where I just didn't know something was happening, or I didn't see some wind of change developing because somebody like a central banker made some comment and it slowly gathered momentum, and within the course of a half a day can completely change the way the market sentiment is working, at least for the short run, like like a day trader would need to be on top of. So that's why I watch fundamentals. That's why I watch this press conference. Let's see, another opportunity the central bank had this week was the Reserve Bank of Australia. They were the only central bank that had been bullish. They had started a rate hike cycle. They had done 3 hikes in a row. A lot of people were surprised that they started a rate hike cycle, but I think at the time commodities were kind of off to the races. The equities had driven things up. The Australian economy was responding, and they were, the first reasonable-sized central bank to begin a rate hike cycle. They stopped that this week, and much to people's surprise. Everybody thought they were going to raise 0.25. It was almost not even a question that they were going to do so, and they decided not to. And if you trade the Aussie and you were long, that had to hurt. It dragged the euro down through support as well, partly because, once again, this was our first questioning of the global growth story that we had this week. And to be fair, it was one of the first reasonable-sized moves that we had this week. Things have been very slow, and I think in my weekly update I had detailed that, we had a really slow data week, plus we had a lot of players I suspected would be on the sidelines waiting for the higher risk events that were happening later this week. The two interest rate announcements and the NFP tomorrow being those. And it did. It started off pretty slow, but this was the first real piece of news that came along that made people kind of take a look and trade accordingly. So continue to monitor what central banks do and be aware of when people are going to be speaking, so that if anything, you won't find yourself in a position that's maybe up 20 pips and you're happy about it, and then all of a sudden in the course of 10 seconds 3 news items hit because some finance minister was speaking in front of some bank association somewhere and made a comment, and all of a sudden your 20 pips that you were up is now 40 pips underwater, because moves like that can happen very quickly when a central banker's in a position, and especially with an interest rate statement. I think the Aussie sold off 80 or so pips almost immediately. And so, and I know that there were a lot of people out there that had been going long the Aussie earlier in the week, and I know some people that were on that ride and didn't like it. Came back a little bit as the week went on. I don't trade that one myself, but I did see how it affected the other pairs, and I do think that that was the first chink in the armor of kind of the global growth story that had been building as the week went on. And tomorrow will be another test of that, and like I mentioned, the G7 over the weekend could bring any number of statements from central bankers, and the opportunity to really kind of get free publicity and get in the comments that they need to get in to either support or move their own currency down if they need to. There's a lot of posturing that goes on in weeks like this, so be aware. And I think that's about what I have. Does anybody out there have any questions? If so, go ahead and raise your hand or type them in.
Yeah, I don't see any questions, Robin.
Okay.
Well, yeah, feel free to contact us. Thank you, Robin, again. I know every time that I read any of your updates or we speak about the markets that I definitely pick up some things and learn a lot from you, and definitely have since we've been starting our conversations, and I appreciate it. It's something great that we're able to offer as a company to our clients, and we're basically in the process of setting up CTA license so that we can also manage accounts. So we're not just speaking freely here. We're actually going to be proving it. And our trade calls are one thing where if you look on our site, you'll be able to see past trade calls that are time-stamped. Members will actually be able to get them in real time as they're happening. So please remember, if you're looking at our site, the trade calls on the public site, which is the only site you're able to see if you're not a member, is going to be showing closed trade calls. Please don't look at those as an opportunity to do anything. So, check out our site again. Feel free to give me a call. There's our phone number. And Robin, you have anything else that you wanted to add?
No, other than tomorrow, if you're not in a position between today and tomorrow morning when the NFP hits, you're going to need. If I was you, I would only take a trade if it's just an absolutely stellar opportunity to do so. I think next week we're going to see a lot more opportunity for trades that are going to be much more linear, much less volatility, much easier to find. And if you're not in a trade already, question whether or not you need to be in one, because tomorrow could be a rocky ride for a number of reasons. So other than that, just trade carefully and don't gamble with your account. If you need to gamble, find a casino.
I agree. Seen that too many times. But again, Robin, thanks a lot, and
You're welcome.
everyone that's joined us, we really appreciate it. We're here to help, so feel free to give us a call anytime. 888-345-9120, or shoot us an email and let us know the best day, time, and phone number to reach you. Thanks again, everybody.